This is our walk-up music. All right. Freesia and Sam, thank you so much for making this podcast or for making tonight possible. Really appreciate having you here. Our pleasure. Do we have the red and the green mics on? All right. I think we're there. Testing one.
Test. Can you hear me?
Good. Wow. Better.
Excellent.
Better? Okay.
Fantastic. All right. So when did you start Worst Quality Crab?
Officially, May of what year? 2023. We planned for a whole AAPI month launch extravaganza. But we had the idea in 2020 and sat on it for a long time, if I'm honest. Do you want to hear that part?
I mean,
which part, Ben?
Right.
I talk
so
a
in
lot.
2020, everybody's having different ideas because we're sitting indoors all the time,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And what did you think was missing, or what was itching you?
So 2020 was a year, to say the least. And what actually happened, I think Margot Seeto, who is here and will be on the panel tonight, she and I were having a conversation. And she was talking about, Margot, also correct me if I'm getting the story wrong later. But she was talking about it was early lockdown, and she was trying to find connection to her family that she couldn't see. And she was seeing everybody else sort of on, social media cooking their family recipes, and that was like their form of connection. And she was trying to think of what her family recipes were and couldn't think of like something that really felt like this was her family's one big dish. And then eventually landed on one of her dad's like weeknight quick for the kids meals that just really felt like home, and was like the most familiar to her. And I really love something about that idea of just sort of the day-to-day dishes that are the most comforting and the most sort of like resonate with these like feelings of family and community.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you should curate all these recipes and like, make a series out of it or make a book or whatever. And she was like, no, but you should. And I was like, okay. And then it just sort of like stuck with me. And then I told Sam about it. And originally I had envisioned a cookbook, or like a cookbook and a recipes, like a stories book. Just because I was thinking of something that if you were home in isolation, you could like have this book with you. It could be like a, coffee table book, but also just something like an actual tangible piece of like comfort. Sorry. And I was like, okay, let's test this idea, right? This idea that we're kind of all doing different things at home that we're maybe not talking about. And, so we think that it's weird or it's different, but then it's actually really similar. And like, that's where the similarities are, but we don't know that because
there's a lot of relatability.
Yeah, but it's not like mainstream or whatever. So I was like, Sam, just pick your like, whatever, memorable childhood dish and like write a short essay about it.
You gave him an assignment?
I did give him an assignment. He did excellent.
Nice job, Sam.
And then I asked Margot to do the same thing. So I was like, oh, she's the writer and, she started this whole thing. And it turned out that they'd picked the same dish. Yeah, they didn't talk to each other. They know each other, but they did not talk about it. And they picked the same dish, and that sort of, to me, was the moment of like, it sort of proved the concept that their dishes were the same. They both didn't know that other people were eating it, right? You thought that?
Yeah, I thought it was like a pretty my mom just whipped it up on a busy weekend or weekday night and didn't really think about it and really didn't expect anyone else to eat it.
What's the dish?
It's minced beef with peas and a little egg.
I see a lot of heads nodding. Yeah, so super common, right? But then when I read what they'd written about it, their stories were vastly different. And I just sort of thought, like, this is this common thing. They both thought it was specific to their homes and other people weren't doing it. And yet it's super common. Lots of head nods, and I'm sure all of you have a different story about it also. And so out of that, I just sort of thought like we should talk about it and have these conversations. And then Sam convinced me that I didn't have to make it a cookbook and we can make it a podcast because that is a medium that was available to us.
Did you have experience doing podcasts before that?
No.
Listening to a lot of podcasts.
Okay. So you know what you liked.
Yeah, I think we were just thinking about the book and coming up with a lot of logistical problems and publishing, and we didn't really know how that worked. But we had computers and we could pretty easily get microphones, and I know how to hit record on software, and that's kind of why I came up with podcasts.
Nice. And then you came up with a name, which, I think that it's definitely one that, as you said in episode 1 of Worst Quality Crab, if you know, you know. So we're not going to get deep into that. But I do want to play a clip for people who have either not heard or maybe reminisce about this one here. This is actually about family food. Can one of you kind of set this one up so we can hear it?
Leftovers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So I don't remember how we got into this, but essentially this is me learning in real time something new about my husband and partner of 1,000 years. And it's his stance on leftovers, which I will say by this point we've been married for 10 years, and you would have thought that I would have known this. I did not.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
I didn't realize this until much later in life, I guess. The concept of making a large meal and eating it throughout the week, or making a large casserole or something like that, didn't come to me until much later than in life than, I don't know.
Till we got
one would
married?
Expect. I think so. I think because my mom would make dinner every night, and we'd have some leftovers, but there'd be definitely at least one new thing every night. And I realized that was because my dad hated leftovers. So there had to be a new thing every night. And then I guess that translated into me not really being used to having leftovers, or seeing my mom force herself trying to finish the leftovers just because no one else would be very interested in eating leftovers either.
This is how I feel in our house, honestly, because our kids don't really like leftovers either, and I grew up on leftovers. Mm-hmm. And so now I feel like when we have leftovers, because I will be the one that makes the bigger thing, I make the cheesy pasta casserole or whatever, and I'm like, okay, you guys eat chicken tenders, Mama's gonna work on these leftovers.
Nice, nice. What do your kids think about that when they hear this? Have they heard the podcast?
Have they heard it?
No, they haven't really listened. They're curious about it. I think for a while we didn't know if it was going to be a thing, or what it was, so we didn't really tell them about it.
You're a few episodes in now.
We are a few episodes in. So there are 3. One is very little and barely knows anything. The older 2 know about it. The oldest one actually was like, "Can I be on it?" Which I was like,
I want to be a star.
That maybe YouTube generation. It's a whole thing. I think that they are interested in the idea that we talk about food with other people, because we talk about food a lot at home. I think if I brought to them the idea that I'm the one that finishes the leftovers and they get to eat new things, they would be like, that's just how it is, which I guess is a prison of my own making in that regard. But yeah, I think we are kind of raising them to be food people, but not food. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Well, another thing that's really interesting to me is that you two are, as you said, you've been married for 1,000 years or 10 years. You're a married couple working together on a podcast. That's an incredible dynamic. I think that for a lot of people, working with their spouse, if I were to work with my spouse, I don't think it would work out so great. I've been married for almost 30 years and still. But the dynamic that you two have is fantastic in this. How does that work for you, at least behind the scenes?
You go. It works like this.
Deferring.
Yeah.
Nice job, Freesia.
I don't think I really think about it. I'm just thinking about logistical things and knowing when to press record and stuff like that, and it just comes naturally to me, I guess. I think I've always wanted to just be a part of some creative project where I didn't necessarily have to be the face of it, but I could influence it, and work with someone together to produce something, and that's always been sort of my dream. project thing to do, and it's just something I like doing.
It just happens to be me. It could have been anyone. No. I just kidding. We set that up a little bit. We talked about that part. No, I don't know. I think it works for us because also we started in 2020, right? So we'd been married for 10 years by that point. We were home a lot. We had this time to think about it. And then by the time we actually got around to recording, which was 2022, I think was when we started our first one. It took us a while to release. But like we were both home. We had the littlest one like strapped to us while we were recording. So we were like in this sort of weird, like things were happening outside, but we were still kind of in bunker mode. And so it was nice for us to do something together that wasn't solely child rearing.
Oh, yeah.
So this was a really nice project for us to have. I think like when I first brought the idea to Sam and he actually came up with the name, like just that I think to me was a sign that this could work and like it would work with us together because he brought the audio part, he came up with the name, like we just kind of meshed our skills and our talents well in that regard. And I was like, I don't know who else I would do this with. I have all of these built-in resources. Why not?
I think we just took it step by step and things just happened to fall into place, like this whole thing, and we just kept going.
Love it. That's great. Well, one of the dynamics that works great is you have amazing sense of humor. I mean, fantastic personalities, and if you listen to the podcast, you know that Sam's chuckles are a big part of the podcast, for sure. Also, your greeting, hello. But
do you actually use the same one every time? Sorry, I just
you actually have it recorded.
I did it for the first 20. It was just because I was like, no one's listening to this. It was just like a wink to myself, a little joke to myself to just do the same hello, just have it on hand and put it in. But I think after a while, it was just easier not to edit it.
Nice, amazing. Tricks of the trade. So yeah, the personalities, the humor, and that sets up the next clip. Can you tell us what this one is about?
You want to do it? This one is, our guest was Hetal Vasavada, and she is talking about essentially her childhood memory of making ghee and what that was like for her. And I think I will say that, like, you know, she is South Asian, and so like her experiences were very different from ours, but we kind of got to a place where we could sort of agree on the trajectory of a lot of us in our lives, and that was a pretty, I think, funny moment for me, and I think just a great story from her. Yeah.
All right, well, let's hear this clip.
It's my mom's version of, you know how like in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the Windex, where like put some Windex on it, it'll fix it. Mm-hmm. It is my mom's version. You have a sore throat? Here, have a spoonful of ghee. It'll make it better. It fixes it all. And of course, like it's cheaper to make your own ghee than to buy. And always the store-bought ghee is never good, right? Oh, it's not good enough. Mm-hmm. So we would go to the store. All of us would have a limit because of the limit that's put on how much you can buy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she'd buy all the butter, then get more rain checks on top of that, and then make us all wait in different lines to buy the butter.
Yes. Oh my God. This is amazing because like I could never. The idea that I have to talk to a person to be like, could you give me this thing that I guess technically I am owed, but you don't have?
And then we'd go home, sit in a circle, and just unwrap butter sticks for like an hour and throw them in this big vat. And then she would make enough ghee for like 10 families.
Wait, do you make ghee?
I do. I make it at home. I find it to taste much better. I am my mother. We're all slowly turning into them.
God, it's so true.
So great. Love it. All right. Well, I think that we've got a feel for what the show is like and what it's about. You all have warmed up the microphones. And so now I think it's time for us to have a live recording of Worst Quality Crab. Are you two ready?
I guess so. Yeah. No,
Yeah?
we're ready. Are you ready? Are y'all ready? Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hit that theme music and take it away.
Sure. and welcome to Worst Quality Crab, a podcast of Asian American recipes and stories from best quality hearts. I'm your host, Freesia Lee. Joining me as always is my husband and producer, Sam.
Hello.
Oh, he did it. This is a special one. We have 3 guests tonight, which we have never done, nor have we ever done a live event, so we're just trying some things out. This is our special Lunar New Year episode, given that today is, in fact, Lunar New Year. What's up to everyone that celebrates? Who said snakes? Yeah. Are you a snake, sir? Oh, congratulations. We love it. 24 or 36? How old are you? 36?
84.
Oh my God. Give it up for this man. Woo. We love it.
I'm looking forward to my next snake year, which is 96.
Hell yeah. Woo. We're rooting for you on that one. Definitely. We'll celebrate back here. Okay, I love it. It's great. All right, let's guess. Make your way down here. First off, yeah, just come on. It's casual at this point.
Don't be shy. Yay.
Yay. Where's our third guest?
It's in the cups.
Third guess. Just water, I
water.
believe.
Good.
I'll do light introductions, and then also, like, you guys should describe yourselves because. Yeah. Margot.
Being a gentleman.
Woo! Yay!
Yay.
All right. We have with us. Oh gosh. Okay. Let's see. If anybody was listening to today's episode of Bay Made, you might have heard our first guest, Deanna Ulrich. She was on with her sibling Rob. She is a creative, a new dog mom, and you now mark second-time guest. That's an achievement.
Yay, Two Timers Club.
Two-timers club.
Woo!
Yeah. Also joining us, Eric Ehler, Outta Sight Pizza. Thank him. He is the reason.
Yay, pizza.
He is the reason for the pizza season. New shop in Chinatown. Former Mr. Jews. Like, you got a whole bit. You'll talk about this more. But anyway, everybody go to Outta Sight. I've said this privately, I'll say this publicly. This is a panel of Outta Sight sort of super fans, and so if we get a little bit weird about it, forgive us. But if you've had the pizza, you know it's the best crust imaginable. And lastly, but certainly not least, Margot Seeto, writer of the Dumpling Report. Writer? I don't know. Author of the forthcoming SF guidebook, and now our first ever three-peat guest and muse of this show, really.
Woo, Three Timers Club. There's a special Three Timers Club lounge and robe. Coincidentally, it is in this building. We'll show you later.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's creepy.
It's
In a not creepy way.
By myself.
there's no way to make that uncreepy at this point. Here we go. It's live.
It's live.
And recorded.
See, usually we have a lot of editing that goes on afterwards, so forgive us.
I'll cut it out later.
We'll cut it out later. We wanted to start with a little, like, classic Lunar New Year. What's your Zodiac?
Yes.
Great.
Take it away.
So we're going to ask you what your zodiac is, and then we will ask you how. I'm going to read out.
Just do it. Just do the thing.
Just do the thing. Okay. Deanna, what's your sign?
I'm a goat / sheep, and I learned recently that I'm a metal goat. I didn't know about the elemental things before, so maybe that's something we can talk about too.
Yes. Sorry, we didn't do all that research, but.
That's okay.
So I grabbed this from WikiHow, How to Read Your Chinese Horoscope, and it has the Chinese zodiac traits, the pros and cons. And for goat, it says pros: tender, polite, clever, kind-hearted. And then cons: shy, pessimistic, moody.
Definitely moody.
Yeah,
For
how
sure.
does your actual personality compare to these known traits of the Chinese zodiac, goat?
That's interesting. I think arguably everybody is a little bit of everything. But I'm definitely feeling moody these days. Don't know why. And I don't know, I've also been looking up a little bit about goats and sheeps, and a big thing that comes up is creativity. So I definitely identify with that. It feels very true to what I'm interested in and how I want to live my life.
Nice.
Metal goat.
Metal goats.
Metal goat. Okay, Eric, what is your sign?
I'm a dragon, water
Whoa,
dragon.
water dragon. So the pros: bright, self-assured, romantic, and cons: arrogant, impatient. How do you feel? Does that resonate with your personality, do you find?
Come on, everyone can be arrogant and impatient at times. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much feel like the average person, like she said, like a little bit of everything. But I definitely think of myself as a romantic, so I'll take that.
Oh, nice. Margot, what is your sign?
I'm a dog, and I think I'm a water dog.
Water
specifically.
dog. Okay.
But I forgot what that means, really.
Okay, pros: loyal, responsible, realistic. Cons: lack stability, easy to find fault. Does that resonate with your personality?
Yes, and also on top of that, I'm a Libra, which is basically the same thing as a dog, so it's like all those times two. So like the indecision is very frustrating for everybody around me. But loyal is good, yes.
We'll take it.
That's really funny because like I'm a goat as well, and my other sign is Aries, so it's double goat. And I think it's like creative, headstrong, or whatever for the Western goat. So I don't know. It resonates with me, my personality. Freesia, what is your sign?
I'm a metal rooster.
Whoa.
Metal rooster. Okay, rooster. Cool. Pros: honest, bright, deep thinker. Cons:
Yeah. Okay.
unrelatable.
Oh shit!
Dang.
Wow.
Assume they're always right.
Assume or am I? Coworkers.
Happy wife, happy life. So yes.
So I take it that resonates with your personality.
It does, but I do want to say this. I had this thought some amount of years ago that basically everyone that I grew up with was also a rooster. And we are very different. Mm-hmm. And so make that make sense, Zodiacs. That's
A
all.
year feels broad.
It does. So I guess
that's a long time.
I guess that's the metal, water, wood part of it. Like maybe that's where the distinction lies. But I was like, if I think about these traits amongst all of my like group of 8 girlfriends, Nina, what's up? You're here. We were not the same, correct? We are. Oh no! You have just. Oh boy! Oh, there goes my whole thing. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that, but at the time I was like, we're all very different. This can't be all possibly be the same for all of us. But maybe Nina says I'm wrong.
Do you have compatibility chart for like rooster and goat?
It's fine.
It's always like farm animals and domesticated animals, and then like animals that don't actually exist.
Yeah, and like aggressors.
Yeah, farm animals get along, domesticated animals get along.
Yeah.
I think it's just dog and rat.
Okay.
I think I looked ours up like when we were first dating or something, and it was like not amazing, but it wasn't bad. So I was like, that's fine. I'll take that.
I think the element signs really throw a wrench in things too, because it could be like your year, but then if it's not the elemental year too, like if you're a wood snake, but it's like a metal year, then it might not be a good year for you.
Not good vibes.
Yeah.
What
I
does
like that
wood
this is the
snake mean
default
for
for
all
metal
of
at
us
this
now?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I did
we
not.
didn't look that up.
Oh, that's okay.
We'll do that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about y'all.
Wait a second. We should do a thing whenever someone says metal.
Right? I
No,
mean,
no. But like you have to take a drink too.
oh, you know?
Water.
Yeah. What? Well, next time.
We should edit in a tasty guitar lick too.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love it. Okay, let's get into like y'all in Lunar New Year? Because that's really why we're here. Deanna, I'm just going to start here and we're going to work our way over. I would like to, so you have recently posted some pictures of little baby Deanna around Lunar New Year time.
Courtesy of Kimba.
Courtesy, yes. Oh, look, he printed.
That's me.
That's her.
Getting my little cashola.
Yes. And I'm curious what it was like for you around Lunar New Year. So you're half Vietnamese, you're half white, you grew up in Virginia. You should be saying all these things, not me. But like, given where you were, what you are sort of, your makeup is, like, what was it like for you as a kid at Lunar New Year time?
Yes. So Lunar New Year or Tet, very family-oriented times. My primary memories of this are really just like white, cold hard floors, bright fluorescent lights. I'm painting like a weird picture, but it's just like, if you've been to a Vietnamese house, like maybe it looks like that, but it's just like kitchen, the vibe is in the kitchen. You are in the kitchen, it's bright in there, it's kind of chaotic. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of noises. People are chatting. I don't understand Vietnamese, so I didn't know what people were saying at all. So I was just running around having fun with my cousins. And it was kind of just like another opportunity to let loose, party in my little baby ways, which means just like kind of running around a house unsupervised, eating really great, tasty snacks. One of my like primary food memories of this is like really colorful sticky rice with like sugar and peanuts. There's also something called bun tet, which is like basically also sticky rice with meat inside. So just a lot of food, family, celebration, and just kind of like a little bit of freedom of a big party where you can kind of get away with being a bit naughty.
Nice. I wasn't expecting the naughty bit.
Well, I mean, like
kid naughty. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
You mean like unsupervised?
Right.
You know.
I mean, yeah. We have 3 kids who we often leave unsupervised in a very small home, so it's fine. I get it.
Right now.
No. That's a good question. They are supervised right now. But yes, that's excellent. Was this, so for me, whenever it was Lunar New Year, it was like a big deal. Like it was actually one of my favorite holidays as a kid. Where did this rank for you? And what was it like sort of compared to maybe like Western white holidays, we'll just say?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure, if I'm being totally honest, that I registered it as a holiday.
Oh.
It was kind of just like, oh yeah, we're all getting together. This is like cousin time, Asian cousin time. We're hanging out. Because all of our family gatherings on my mom's side were kind of the same thing, where it's just like everyone is there, and all the kids are there, all the cousins are there. There's so much food, more than you could possibly ever eat. Maybe the specialty was like the colorful sticky rice, but even like that was kind of around as well. But I think like very generally speaking, those times, it was also just like very liberating, I think, for my mom, because it was like a very big deal to be able to spend time with her family as well, in this like celebrate this event, really celebrate also just, a piece of culture that maybe she didn't have access to a lot. And so I think I definitely notice like a shift in her, if I think back on it.
When do you think you recognize that it was like a holiday and not just another get together? 18, 22. No.
I mean, the envelopes really contribute to that for sure. I don't know. I have no idea. I think the years just kind of blend into one big thing, and I like have also memories of like going to our local parade kind of thing in Little Saigon, and there was always kind of an annual festival kind of thing that we would go to, but I don't know. I don't think I actually like really seriously considered it as a separate holiday until I moved here, maybe embarrassingly. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's like something we do sometimes.
Nice.
Once a year, apparently.
Yeah. Kind of like every time there's a new one.
Yeah.
You would do it again.
Oh, there's an animal.
There's an animal.
Yeah, whatever.
The animals are different, right?
They're
A
different.
little bit different.
Yeah.
But you're a goat for both. That one is the
What do you
same,
mean?
right?
What are you talking about? What other animal?
No, like there's the Chinese Zodiac, and then
Oh, they're sheep and goat.
right. Oh, because
They're technically different.
Technically different.
Kind of.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading a thing earlier and it was like Year of the Cat, which was a different year, and there's a tiger, but there's no cat on the Chinese one, and I was like, oh no, I need to find out about all of the other animals because what else is out there? Maybe I'm not a rooster. Sorry. See, this is a thing we would edit out.
Yeah.
Sorry, audience. I'm so sorry.
Train of thought.
I know, you're really getting the full experience. Sorry.
Wait, so they're just variant animals?
Yeah. Alternative.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So you are both sheep and
Get
goat.
out a little bit, maybe.
Well, I mean,
Is it like dog and wolf or something?
coyote.
It's like literally only like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's just kind of random.
Dragon still in there?
Dragon for sure has to be in there, I think.
Dragon's
like ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dragon
cool.
is like the rice of animals,
Oh,
That is so true.
right?
I don't know what that means.
Like rice is the Asianist Asian thing, and dragons are like the Asianist animal. I don't know.
Year-round.
It seems the most intense and powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes everywhere.
Does that resonate with you?
I'm so intense and powerful right now.
Love it. Speaking of which, Eric, your Lunar New Year. Sorry, this is going to sound just the most creeper, but I'm going to do it anyway. On your Instagram last year for Lunar New Year, you shared a really lovely story, like a childhood story. And I was wondering if you could tell that again now.
Everyone's gonna get some plugs on some friends' business as well then.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to give everyone like a background. So I'm adopted, and so thank you for letting me have a seat at this table,
Yeah, of
so
course.
to speak. But so, like last year, my friend Christine, who has a shop on Nob Hill, border of Chinatown, called Abacus Row, every year she has Lunar New Year celebration, in which her whole shop just celebrates basically like everyone's kind of experience through like a lens of art, creativity, community, and culture, and just brings everyone together. It is a shop, it is retail, it's fashion, but this is one of the most, I think, it kicks me to the wall about how much like it brings the community together and how beautiful it is. And so I never once in a million years thought she was going to ask me to be a part of it. And so last year they have they do a zine every year in which they ask people who are creative or in the community about like food, music, entertainment, et cetera, to contribute somehow. And so she asked me if I wanted to do something food related. And the first thing, so I'm a chef and I have a pizza shop now, but she was like, I don't want an actual recipe. Everyone would always think that you would just default to a recipe. And she's like, I want like a story of like how you may have connected as being an Asian American still, but coming from a different culture. And so that story was one that I felt could connect with a lot of people, not just like Asian adoptees, but other Asian Americans who grew up in maybe not necessarily like metropolitan, like cultured areas such as ourselves, like West Virginia or Virginia you said?
Normal Virginia.
Normal Virginia, not West Virginia. Yes. We'll not talk about the West side.
Sorry to our West Virginia fans.
No offense, Let me know when we get one.
Yeah, we're out there. But I thought the story that I had could resonate with other people who may not, like I said, been in areas like this, who still are Asian American, who still struggled with what I would consider as the everyday identity crisis of just being a child, an adolescent, or a young adult. And so my story was the reason I know about the Zodiac, which was probably like everyone else, maybe outside of an Asian community, would just be going to the local like Chinese restaurant or a Vietnamese restaurant or whatever Asian restaurant that had to have something like that on the table to, you know, show that they were, quote, like authentic or something. And so my story I thought was kind of neat because as a child, especially during like the Pokemon era, I found out that I was a dragon. And so it's like, yeah, sick, exactly. The fingers again. And that was really, really neat. And the story that we talked about was a dish that, like, between my friend who also collabed with the story, she did an illustration. It was factual to a certain point, but we wanted to make it feel like it was kind of like more dramatic. And so everyone, or maybe a lot of people, are familiar with the dish Dragon and Phoenix. Which can be found on many like Chinese takeout menus. And so the dish, it could be General Tso chicken and then shrimp with lobster sauce. And so shrimp with lobster sauce being the dragon part of it, Phoenix, General Tso, fiery, spicy chicken. But when I was a kid going to these Chinese restaurants and kind of connecting with the kind of like the Asian American in a more Caucasian populated area, it was like just discovering this and then connecting with like the waiters or servers that I would see all the time, and then them understanding like, oh, this family is bringing this child, and maybe we invest in like maybe teaching him how to use chopsticks or getting him really excited about just eating this kind of food. And so I always felt this kind of warmth when I ever went to a Chinese restaurant. And so like my friend Michael is right here right now in the front, and he was part of a group that I feel like extended that kind of like eating together with friends over like a big meal that kind of started with me going to these Chinese restaurants as a kid. And so I guess to like transition this into like, oh, what's Lunar New Year now? It's just getting a bunch of people together and eating, sharing stories. Maybe it doesn't matter if we grew up a certain way, celebrated like all our entire lives, but we just want to be together at the end of the day.
Cool. Awesome. Were your parents purposely like going out of their way to take you to Chinese restaurants around Lunar New Year, or was that something that was like kind of regular for you, or?
We went once or twice a week because it's funny that you talk about the leftover experience because and I gasped when I heard, because like whenever someone has like a leftover stance, it kind of like freaks me out. So like we were a leftover family, bang for your buck.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you like, you know, take that leftover plate from the buffet, or you know, and just you got to get it home.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Restaurant leftovers are different than homemade leftovers.
Hot take.
I mean, it's not supposed to be controversial. It's true. It's objective. Sorry, go on.
All right, we'll have another
cut that out.
separate. Yeah.
We'll have a separate conversation. Is what's happening. We are learning things in the moment, folks. So you would go regularly?
Yeah, pretty much regularly, like once or twice a week. Bang for your buck, get a buffet, handful of kids, friends, et cetera. And then then when you get a driver's license, you just like go bowling, go to the movies, go eat Chinese buffet afterwards, or go to like the Chinese restaurant.
Nice. What was that like for you being Korean and adopted? Like, were there Korean restaurants, first of all, that you could go to? And if not, did this feel like the next closest thing, or was this just like something that everybody did and so it didn't register as much as being like Asian and being like an adjacent thing?
So I am from Holstein, Iowa, population 1,000, by Sioux City, which is close to Omaha. But we have a town close to ours called Storm Lake, which is census almost 60% mixed race, 40% Caucasian as of like 2009, I believe. But it's because there's factory farms all around and everything, and so there's so much good Asian food there. And I feel like being able to grow up next to that and like be able to go all the time was really, really important. But in the scope of having like Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, like whatever, you just have to, like, all the restaurants, even if they were that, they had to side by being more Chinese, so they had to offer like more like the hits, so to speak. And so there were those kind of restaurants around, and like my parents were very open to like, you know, like bringing me to these places, and they always gave me the option. There's like, oh, hey, do you want to go to camp? You know, like you want to like, you know, like do these kind of things. But you know, when you're a kid, you're given the option to like, you know, go to this camp or go to the pool and hang out with your friends. You know.
Yeah.
Friends always.
Friends always.
Yeah, nice. When do you fear, or did you ever, because I don't know, I'm finding out, start digging into like what Korean traditions are around Lunar New Year, or like, are you interested? Have you gone down that hole, or?
Oh yeah. Well, I think with like a lens of this is that like growing up, food was not a big part of my family. You know, we ate food and we went out for food, but like it wasn't you know, my parents are German. It wasn't we're having like schnitzel and spätzle like every other night. But like I was obsessed with food from like such a young age that like we didn't have the Food Network. I was like VHS recording like Ronco rotisserie infomercials just to like watch someone cook food, and then like you would go over to a friend's house and like actually like watch the Food Network, which was crazy. But yeah, I mean, like, then when I got older, it's just like, I just like, want to keep learning about food. I discovered that you could become a chef and eat food for free while you're working. And so it's like that's how that all happened. But being, you know, trying to identify or figure out like what is being Asian American, what is being Korean. I was in Italy on an internship program for about a month, and then like the chef there was like, tell me about being Korean, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, that's a good self-realization, you know, to like be like, oh shit, do I want to like continue to get like roasted by people, or do I want to like, you know, just be a little bit more comfortable in my own skin? And like that whole like that process of like learning Korean, learning how to like speak or write or read very, very vaguely, traveling, I thought it was at first just to be more comfortable with myself, but it was actually like that ended up happening, but it was making me feel like whole, so to speak. And I think that like why a lot of people, especially like my friend group, millennials, of just discovering or trying to get more in touch with their roots, their cultures, their families, like traditions or whatever, is so we want to actually feel like a little bit more whole. Because like a lot of people or a lot of friends I have, it's like parents always working, very, very busy. So maybe like sitting down for like celebrations as such, you know, they did happen, but it was just like out of practice, you know, not necessarily tradition. And so it's been the kind of like a journey of like meeting other people, learning about others' experiences, but just kind of like realizing that like, you know, we're all just kind of the same. We all just want to feel whole at the end of the day.
True. That's really lovely. Sorry, weird transition, but Margot, speaking of parents who are working a lot and maybe lost traditions, you are third generation Chinese, third generation San Franciscan, I think. I'm curious what Lunar New Year was like for you growing up, given that, you know, maybe you weren't as close to traditions, or maybe you were rooted in ones from 100 years ago, like I think my family was. What was it like for you?
Yes, so I'm trying not to forget anything that's racing through my mind, but when I studied abroad in Hong Kong in college, the program paired up like international students, mostly ABCs, with local students. And so when I talked to my roommate about what my family did for Chinese New Year, by the way, that was like a hard transition for me to make saying Chinese New Year to Lunar New Year. And like
I have only in the last 5 years stopped calling it Chinese New Year. Sorry, don't cancel.
I know,
us.
sorry.
To be fair, when we grew up here, everyone was Chinese, and it was only Chinese New Year because of the parade, which is still the Chinese New Year parade.
And I didn't know that other Asians, not all Asians, but other Asians celebrated it too. And I was like, what?
I know. It's very Chinese centric here.
Yeah, for sure.
We're trying. We're trying to do better. We're learning. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, I know. So it's hard for me to say for Lunar New Year. Anyway, so I would tell her things like, oh, you know, my family would do, I don't know if you call them altars, like, you know, a plate of like the leafy oranges with like the fat go and the candy in each room. And she was laughing at me. And I was like, what? And she was like, no, it does that anymore. And I was so confused because I was like, I'm in Hong Kong, everyone's Chinese. What? And that's when I had that epiphany of like, oh, because my family on my dad's side came over so early. It's like, you know, these traditions freeze and then they get passed down. And it's like, this is your connection to your homeland. This is how we do it. And in some ways there's not as much like room to allow yourself to change it, because you're like, well, if I change it too much, then I'm not Chinese, right? So that was a very interesting thing to learn. And then So I always remember like a trail of ants in my house during Lunar New Year, going to like that candy tray because it's rainy season, and so with like the dried coconut and like the winter melon stuff, or are there beans
your
in
like
there?
sweet
the
tray.
little tray, yeah, and they're always like ants. Random, and then like my parents my dad has like the kitchen patrol, like Army Reserve style of weekly casserole cooking. My mom did not cook because her grandfather owned China sales in Brookline in Massachusetts, if there's any old Boston Chinese here. Oh, okay, wow. But yeah, and she said because after she worked there, she like didn't want to cook ever again in her life. So, but one thing that we did make both for home and for school, because back then SF Unified didn't have Lunar New Year off officially, but then there would be like a crap ton of programming in the schools. Like people like my mom would help to organize, like line dancers, ribbon dancers, like paper cutting artists, and like one time they brought in like a chef doing hand-pulled noodles, and he would like slam the dough on the table, and all the kids were like, ah! And then they would like mob him and try to grab the dough and turn it into animals. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, so we're more modern in the sense that we would just basically go to a restaurant with our extended family, and all the kids would like lose their marbles when we got like our lacy.
Yes.
But you had to say like, oh, like Sun Nin Fai La Kung Hei Fa Choi, like, and not say lacy dollar, which is like, where's my money? The cheeky monkey.
It's
way to say
implied when you say the other parts.
Lycee is the red envelopes.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
In Cantonese, yeah. But we hadn't done that kind of stuff for ages. Once my preschool best friend is here, Lauren, and her mom, my auntie Janice, and we went to. There's a point to us. We went to the first bilingual preschool in the city, Wamei, which just celebrated its 50th anniversary last year, and it has a float in the Chinese New Year parade. So in high school, we were in the float. We were on the float, so we can say we have that cred under our belts, like Chinese New Year in the parade, like check.
Yeah.
Have not been back since, too crowded, but maybe I'll go this year with my 3-year-old. I just wanted to say one more like very specific food thing that I remember. Was very old school. It's like Kok Zai. So we just buy these like round dumpling skins, and then really old school, just use like a empty glass jar, not food safe at all, to crush peanuts and sugar and like shredded coconut, just like that, and then it's like fill the little things, deep fry them, bring them to school, whatever. And that's like something that I was like, I need to do this with my kid, like this weekend maybe.
Okay, that is actually my one food memory from Chinese New Year as a kid too, and we would make them at school. Yeah, and like I actually, only you saying this now am I realizing it was a Chinese New Year thing, but I remember distinctly making them in this like kitchen that was mostly for grown-ups, but sometimes if you were like working on a thing as a kid, you could go in there. And we made them because I went to a Chinese immersion program, and I don't think I've had them since like 5th grade. Oh. And I miss them, and I'm sure they were not good. Yeah. the ones that we made at school, because let's be honest, we were making them at school and we were just dumb little idiot children trying to like, with our hands or whatever, and they probably weren't good. But yeah, maybe we should make them with our kids, or at least find a recipe that we can try to make ourselves.
Yeah, Christina Cho just
that's
made
right.
some recently.
Okay, we'll do that one. But I totally forgot about that, and it was the only time that I ever ate them.
And would you air fry them, or is that like totally like?
Oh,
should I not say that thought?
Let's ask the chef.
Air fry?
Air fry.
Air fry
raw
be deep
dumplings,
fry.
like from the doughy.
I've never used an air fryer before, so I'm not the one to ask.
All right.
I'm scared.
I think that's our answer, actually.
So
No, I guess I will try my hand at like
me sometimes.
a pot of deep fry, like a
shallow
Shallow
fry.
shallow fry.
Yeah.
Shallow fry. There
Long
we go.
chopsticks.
Thank you. Yes, long
Need a
chopsticks.
splatter guard.
Yeah. Long sleeves.
How about we give the recipe to Eric and he makes them
Okay.
for us? Look at this.
Right now.
Right now. I'm so glad that you mentioned that calling it Chinese New Year until very recently, because I felt a lot of personal canceledness around that.
Yes.
Like, I should call it Lunar New Year. But we're working on it.
You're Chinese, so you could call it Chinese New Year.
No, that's true.
Yes, that. Also, I saw a controversial video
Yeah.
about the argument for it's just Chinese New Year.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it
No,
because
sure.
I saw this and didn't do any additional research, as most social media absorption goes.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, I will say that, like, I saw one last year that was, like, the opposite. That was, like, it's even Lunar New Year is incorrect because it's the Lunar Solar New Year, and there's all these other things. And I was like, oh, God, it's too much. Can we just call it the other one, the second one, the spring one, the Asian, I don't know. Maybe we should stop calling January 1st the regular one.
Yeah.
This is the regular
Let's
one.
really shake
Yeah.
it up.
Right? New facts. These are new facts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into this. All right. I'm just going to, oh, wait, actually, here's a question for you that we've never talked about. I don't actually know how you celebrated as a kid.
It was very much driven by my mom.
Natch,
My
yeah.
dad did not care. I think the only thing he cared about was New Year's Day, going into Chinatown to see the fireworks and the dragons and the lions dance, and that's the only thing he really cared about. My mom would be all into the taboos and superstitions and stuff like that. So, like, things like don't cut your hair on New Year's Day. 'Cause
Anybody do that? You know that one? Yes.
Dude.
Yep.
My husband did. Also, today's our trash day, by the way. You're not supposed to take out trash.
Oh, man. Listen.
Dirty pull-ups.
Dude, what do we do?
The gods, the ancestors never had municipal waste, and it shows. I'm just saying.
One specific one that comes to my mind was, like, my mom was always like, you need to be positive around New Year's, like, don't talk about death or sad things or, illness or anything like that. Don't mention that. And I specifically remembered, like, I think I was in the 5th or 6th grade. And at that age, I was super obsessed with comic books and X-Men and stuff like that. So I would obsessively draw Wolverine on, like, every piece of paper. And it would always be, like, Berserker mode Wolverine, like snarling teeth, snikity snick with the claws out, blood dripping, maybe smoking a cigar. And, like, one day near New Year's or after New Year's or on New Year's or something like that, she saw one of my papers that I, like, just covered with Wolverine, and she was like, what is wrong with my child? Is he a Satanist? What is all this negativity and death and blood? Like, why is he drawing all this? And it was, like, the first time I was like, I thought of Wolverine differently. I was like, I was like, oh yeah,
Misunderstood.
this does seem kind of violent, I guess, if you're in this kind of stay positive mode for New Year's.
Okay, but also Wolverine is gonna cut all his luck away,
Yes,
right? Like every.
but it'll grow back because
Well, that's true.
healing factor.
Healing factor, but he's still. This is one of the ones that, like, I didn't understand as a kid, and I don't know if, like, y'all know this one, but, like, you're not supposed to use knives or scissors on New Year's Day.
What?
Right?
Danger.
Broke that rule.
Yeah, chef. How could you even? Everybody.
Chop.
Dragon.
But
judo
like,
chop.
I kind of remember that, like, as a kid and even, like, in college and in my 20s, where I was like, what do I do? Does a butter knife count? Like, what are the bounds of these rules? And also, where do they come from? Like, why? Am I really cutting my luck away? Is that true? Is that, like, what my 2nd grade teacher just told us because she had been told that at some point, and it was some other thing that, like, generations have just handed down as, like, nah, you're gonna cut your luck away, whatever.
Seems like you can't really do anything.
No.
We always, like, my friends and I used to say, we'll just exist.
Yeah, that one.
Can't win.
You can't win. Well, and I think this is also, like, a thing that maybe 2-3 years ago, like, I was very adherent, or I tried to. I was like, these are the rules and we got to stick to them, and, like, there's no cutting and we got to eat leftovers from last night because it's lucky and all these things, and the hair and whatever. And then Sam pointed out to me that, like, they're all just based on puns. And I was like, oh, That really takes the wind out of the potency of these superstitions.
Yeah, definitely the hair one. Like prosperity is like fat choi, and then fat sounds like hair, like fat, how fat. And so like you don't want to cut your prosperity, or and it's a weird pun. What is the other one that's punny?
The fish.
Oh yeah, I think the Cantonese saying is lin lin yao yun. Sounds like, and yun sounds the same. And
one is fish and one is
like, I think it's like have some money left over, or like you have savings, so it's lucky to have some savings left over every year.
But it sounds like fish, and so
Yeah.
for every Chinese New Year, as long as I can remember, we've always had a whole fish.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not true. There were times when my grandparents would be like, "We don't want to gut a fish and cook it. Let's get sashimi and put it in the shape of a fish."
Pre-cut.
It was pre-cut. It was very clever, and no one in my family was great at cooking or deboning a fish anyway.
But how does the fish feel?
Yeah, the fish feels rough.
Yeah, so my mom was super into it, and now that I think about it, she would like basically work so hard just to set everything up, because she was basically doing it alone. I think she would task the kids with doing chores and like cleaning the house and stuff like that. But I also remember after everyone was asleep, she would like sneak in like a Chinese Santa and like put like the little oranges and like 2 red envelopes by our beds.
Cute.
And so when we woke up, we'd like wake up to our lycée in the morning, and we were like, yay, lucky.
Aw, that's cute.
Okay, wait. I didn't know this, but this explains why you did this last night. And I didn't know what was happening.
Yes, I did do it last night.
Well, because in my family, it was always like, you get it the next time you see the person.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why is he sneaking in like Santa? And he's got to, because he was like, oh, I'm going to go in their rooms and put the, and I was like, what, why? I don't know. Just in the morning, they'll wake up and then it's like a Christmas tree of red envelopes and you come, yay. This explains a lot more.
I think for my mom, it was like, you need to have your luck as soon as possible, so I'm going to put it by your head while you're sleeping.
Whoa.
I'm learning about your mom.
Yeah.
So it's her thing, because I've never heard of that. But
Maybe it was just her thing. I don't know.
Anybody?
Anyone else?
Does anybody have a parent sneak in like a Chinese Santa? No? Oh, maybe this
Arguably
is
like Tooth Fairy.
Oh, Tooth Fairy.
yeah.
Oh, and Chinese Tooth Fairy? Anybody? Maybe this is just your mom.
Could be.
Cool. I like that.
Nice. Just like by show of hands or whatever, shout out. Like, did anybody observe any of these that did or not make sense as children? Washing your hair, not washing your hair. Head nods, head nods. Anyone got one that was like wild to them as a child? They just want to yell out. I'm just curious.
Like starting on a long trip.
Starting on a long trip.
You wouldn't start on a trip.
Oh. Oh, yeah, because you're supposed to stay home. Yeah.
I think I saw a hand up over there.
Oh.
Tooth Fairy?
Oh.
Similar.
That's an actual Chinese tooth fairy.
Cool.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, though. I'm so like I could just talk about the traditions for a really long time because they were such a like integral part of what I learned growing up.
So what were your traditions, or what were the things that confused you?
I mean, I think I said a lot of them. Like, I learned a lot of them in elementary school when I just took everything as, like, law. It's like Chinese law. And I think because, you know, I was in this Chinese immersion program and also I'm half white, like, those were the things that I really latched onto and made as, like, those are my things. And if I could do them, it was part of my, like, enough Chinese-ness. And so only recently have I been like, you know what? it's fine. We're existing. We're still going to keep existing tomorrow. If all of my luck is hung on whether or not I wash my hair or don't, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also was in the Chinese New Year parade as a kid.
With who are you?
I went to West Portal Elementary. Still, shout out to West Portal, one of the best elementary schools in the parade. That's fact. Come on. Anybody? No. Listen, it's true. They have a march. I got to march on stilts in the parade.
Wow. Wait,
See?
That's impressive of you.
Yeah, well,
Did
thank
you
you.
have to sign a waiver?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm sure we signed
It's
waivers.
like children.
But yeah, I mean, the parade was a big part of it. You know, lion dancing, I think, has always been like really interesting, and I like love the lions and stuff. Our family, Margot, we talked about this over text, but our family always does our dinner on New Year's Eve, and we call it closing dinner. And then 2 or so weeks later, we do a dinner, and that's at home. And then 2 or so weeks later, we do a dinner out, and that's called the opening dinner. Anybody have that
I
one?
didn't know any of this at all.
Yeah, you don't. Is that something our family made up?
But one hand.
Oh no. Elisa, thank you. Yes. And that actually is the thing that we have stuck to the most of anything. So even last night we hosted. It was just my parents this year, but we have like taken over the mantle of hosting that dinner, and that's where like we have the whole fish. We have to like land, sea, air one of the animals. Go to Clement Street and like, you know, elbow your way through a line with a bunch of pawpaws who are trying to get their duck also.
Try not to get sassed by the person selling
Yes.
you this stuff. It's very intimidating.
Real
sometimes.
story. Oh, it's so intimidating that I waited for Sam to come and meet me in line, and I was going to let people go ahead of me because I was like, I can't do it. It's too scary. They're going to yell at me.
That's real.
It's real.
That's so
yeah.
Those red candies that you see in the back, I got them yesterday, and I didn't see them at the store at first, and so I asked the person, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, I think it's out of stock." And then, auspiciously, while I was online, like they just brought out a big box of it and like was setting it up by the line, and I grabbed 2, and for some reason the cashier, this was in Cantonese, she was like, red envelope candies on New Year's Eve. What are you celebrating on the 2nd?
Savage. Dang. It's cold.
And I was like, wow, I couldn't even respond to it. I was just felt so lucky that I actually got them. And then like,
Okay, that's the thing. I thought about this later, actually. But obviously other people are buying them too. Otherwise, A, they wouldn't have been sold out, and B, they wouldn't have restocked. So that cashier can take a seat.
Sniff out your ABC-ness. She was like,
Yeah.
this guy.
I think they're just like looking for stuff to say.
It's a
They're
day
just
for
like-
them too.
Some are hits,
Yeah.
some are misses.
Anyway, enough about old stuff. Let's talk about new stuff. How do y'all celebrate now? Anybody? Eric, you mentioned like just eating a meal with friends. Anything else? Anything that you're like wanting to maybe make a tradition out of, or?
I think maybe like trying to get back into these earlier traditions that my friends and I had is that, you know, like right now, you know, people have new families, new relationships, people like moved in now the city or whatnot. But I think, you know, in the future, upcoming years, it's like trying to bring that around and like trying to forge like new, like, you know, new traditions throughout the food sharing, because I think everyone's like so multicultural now. Then it's like, oh, like what do you bring to the table? What can we bring to the table, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's what I'm like looking forward to most. But I think that like for me personally, it's just kind of it's like celebrating with like the people who are closest, like my girlfriend or the people who are at my shop, and just you see like you having any other excuse just to be together and to like eat and hang out.
Nice. To exist.
Yeah, to exist. It's simple.
I'm gonna remind me of the existing next year when it's midnight and I'm like, no, but I have to wipe down the bookshelves for the deep clean I didn't do.
I'll just do it for you.
Thank you.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's what I end up doing. Sometimes.
It's true. I know what I married. He knows what he married, actually, is how that really is. Margot, for you, actually, Deanna, both of you, related, you both have white partners.
True.
How?
Sorry.
How?
Just another Asian lady.
You're just
with a white
another
guy.
San Francisco Asian lady that has a
yeah.
I have an Asian girlfriend.
Shame.
I love that this is what gets cheers, truly. How does that sort of play into how you celebrate or don't, or like, are you bringing them along? Are you sort of like compartmentalizing? Also, Margot, you have a kid. Like, how is that, how are you sort of bringing these traditions to her or not, or whatever? And Deanna, similarly, like, how are you bringing Nico along for the ride? Nico's here.
I feel like you should answer first.
You're thinking about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, I can go. Yeah, I mean, he's all about it. He's like, whatever I want to do is fine. I think, but I realized not just with like Lunar New Year stuff, but just anything. I'll just make these plans in my head, and then I forget that I didn't tell him, and so I'm like, I'm just doing this, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, you didn't help me with this, but it's like I didn't tell him, and so like. So, like, for example, because my kid had preschool today and she just started preschool, so I'm entering this era of like parent participation or like, whatever I can do to be nosy or like realize that, to get my child social cash because she's new. And I'm like, I want everyone to accept everyone to be like, this is from her, like, think about her. And he's so insidious. But also it's fun to give stuff out. But like I was like, okay, I'm gonna get all the kids red envelopes, and it's a nut-free school. Like I think a lot of schools are these days.
Yes.
These chocolate coins, which I ended up buying from like a company that markets them for Hanukkah. There's another Chinese Jewish connection, right? But her school was like, no, they're candy. How about stickers? And I was like, okay, even though the kids eat cupcakes all the time from everyone's birthdays, but like, so I found Lunar New Year stickers, which are so easy to find these days, and so I like that aspect. I think it's like. In some ways, I'm just trying to glom onto all these like external like manifestations of what I think it is, and it's not necessarily the right way. But I guess like going to 99 Ranch and looking for like the gaudiest decorations, to put in my daughter's room because she doesn't have a choice, right? It's like it's glitter, like gold glitter, like fuzzy red, like bells on it. I'm like, yes, isn't this what it is to be more Chinese? Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing, right? And so, but then there was also the realization too that just because things aren't passed down linearly or you don't remember, like it's okay to make it up or reclaim or whatnot. I was trying to rack my brain. There's probably more than one book. There's a specific book that her friend recommended to me before, and she forgot the name too, but it's specifically about how to reclaim and do like Chinese practices and Lunar New Year practices for Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, and I could not find it. So if anyone knows that is, please share. So yeah, I'm always like, this generation alpha, people always gift us books, and so many of them are Asian American, Chinese American. It's so cool, specifically about food and different cultures. And so it's very nice to see her be like, I want to read this Asian American book. She's like, Asian American. I don't even think she knows what that is, but she knows there's like the page with the food and like the dragon and whatnot. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so I'm always like, we're Chinese, we're Asian American. And she's like, is Dad Chinese? And I was like, no. And then, sorry. And then he's like, European mutt. So when I'm trying to like, give him some credit too, his mom is mostly Irish. She's like, what they say, 86 proof. And so I'm like, okay, you're Irish and Chinese. And she said that, not me. And then, so now she goes, I'm Irish and Chinese. And like, I laugh so hard every time she says it. But yeah, so still figuring it out. And I think it's a nice excuse too, just to like go to like as much programming as possible. Like, oh, there's a lion dance at the library like 5 times. We're gonna go to like all 5. Because like, this is gonna like incept you and me and be like, we're Chinese, etc.
This Sunday is Free Sunday at the Asian Art Museum with lion dances and red envelope making for kids.
What time?
Just saying.
Okay.
All day.
Are you bringing your kids?
Shoot.
Now we have to.
Well, I might not go. I
guess
have some other
so.
stuff written down too, but it's like everywhere, every weekend. So that's pretty nice. It's also a way to be lazy about it too. You're like, we'll just go to this thing.
Yeah, it's an easy like, we've gone out and done a thing, and it's really just follow a line, dance for half a block, and call it a day. It sounds like she's receptive to it. Does she like understand New Year as being something special yet, or is it just sort of like in her
so. She
growing
knows it's a
identity?
thing. Like she wanted to wear her red dress, and she was like, "Dad, it's Lunar New Year," and he was like, "What?" She's like, "Lunar New Year."
Nice.
So I think she likes parties, and she doesn't know like the money thing yet. But I think as kids, she gets so many presents all the time anyway. So I don't know how much to, that's the one thing about like Lunar New Year is so like capitalist, right? Everything's money, so that everything looks like money. I mean, you get more money, and that's also like, how do you explain that, or like how much of that do you want to bring forward, or not?
You take her money on her behalf, and then when you're short on cash, you dip into her envelopes.
Can I re-give it to her? Is that bad?
You can re-give it to her.
I thought about doing that.
Or just, she doesn't actually know what money is until like 4 or 5, and then you're sort of like,
can't count yet.
Can't count yet.
She thinks she
All the dollars seem the same, so you could trade a 20 for a 1 and be like, no,
That's
it's just
true. That's true. Or the chocolate coins, right?
Or chocolate coins, yes. The
More valuable
things,
to
the
her
things
and-
our
yeah.
children have like sold for $100 to each other is wild.
It's funny you mentioned that she likes to wear her Chinese dress, because I hated wearing my little ao yai. It's so uncomfortable. It's like so tight around the neck. And so I remember like actively being very anti. But anyway, I think as far as celebrating now, I don't celebrate too much. If I'm being honest, I've kind of been reclaiming or trying to re-understand what it means to be Asian, I think. I think there was like a very long period of my life where I didn't want to identify in this way because of a lot of reasons, and how I grew up and whatever. And so I'm kind of like, again, revisiting, what does this mean, actually, and what do I want it to mean? And it's been kind of a slow thing. It feels almost like imposterous to kind of dive in and be like, yeah, freaking New Year, what's up, But, so, I want to do celebrate and begin to integrate this into my life that feels very authentic and true. Something that really comes to mind, actually, honestly, like being a guest on your podcast was really helpful to me in this way.
Aw.
Genuinely.
I loved your episode.
Thank you.
Mom's
That's so
chicken.
nice. Mom's chicken. It really kind of like triggered a lot of ideas and kind of gave permission almost to, it's like, oh yeah, you are Asian. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey.
True.
I mean, same.
So that's like a big part of it. I think like, just want to, maybe start small. Like maybe we'll have a nice meal tomorrow that's kind of Vietnamese, like Mom's chicken. I don't know. But, and we just got married and then celebrated with the family with a big like Vietnamese kind of very traditional celebration. And that like was really healing too, and just like fully unapologetically like diving into that, celebrating properly in my culture, was able to like, it's almost like it feels like a gift to myself, but also to my mom, really. I felt like a lot of, I'm realizing a lot of like complications with, sorry, I know this is not therapy, but a lot of complications with maybe kind of stifling that in her, like not consciously, but because you're just like, as a kid, a totally self-centered little idiot.
Yeah.
And so now, like, with this new knowledge and also just a greater appreciation and respect for everything she's been through, just kind of giving her space to really go hard in the paint with New Year.
Yeah. Do you go back ever to visit around New Year?
No.
Should bring her out here.
Yeah, totally. She would love that. We've been actually really trying to get her out here. She's super weird with traveling. Like, I should honestly just like book her a ticket and be like, okay, you're coming. because it's kind of like, oh, I should come, and it's like, yeah, come literally whenever.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then she doesn't do it.
How about next year we do a version of this? Maybe not here, KLW. I mean, if you'll have us back. But like big New Year party, big
Fun.
Pan-Asian.
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing.
And then she
We'll
can
do
see
it at the Asian Art
her
Museum.
family like down
Just
in
saying.
SoCal too.
Yeah, we got to organize her.
Cool.
For
Yeah,
sure.
she would seriously like love that. She
I think
goes
we
off.
have a chef that could do some food for
Give
that.
me all the recipes.
Yeah.
No air fryers allowed.
No air fry. Hey,
Hey.
I don't mind that as long as I'm not deep frying.
Make sure there's leftovers though.
Yeah.
Then I will eat them all.
Me too.
Oh, Margot will eat them all too. Sam won't eat any of the leftovers. No, if they're restaurant, if Eric makes them, then he'll eat them. If I make them, he won't. It's fine. Anyway, I'm planning a big party, and you're all invited next year. It's Pan-Asian. So we could keep doing this, but I think that they're going to kick us out, so I'm just going to wrap us up if that's okay. Does anybody have any final words, final thoughts? Anything you're shedding in the year of the snake?
Whoa.
Yeah. See what I did? Okay, anything you're growing into in the year of the snake?
Rattling around in your head. Sorry.
We just tell mom and dad jokes all the time and get booed by our kids.
I think constantly about an Ouroboros snake was the concept of a snake eating its tail. And so I just want to keep doing the same thing I've been doing. Is just existing and just like concentrating on what's in front of me.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
what's on this or like it's like whatever's there, but like this. The people, the friends, the family.
I'm really into this existence theme. And also, tell the people where you are currently existing with the new pizza shop.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
I have 2 pizza shops. One's at 422 Larkin Street, very close to the Asian Art Museum. And we're open Monday through Friday from Monday through Sunday from 11 to 9. And then we have another shop on Clay and Montgomery right down there at 643 Clay Street, Monday through Friday, 11 to 6. And we are just a nice, lovely neighborhood pizza shop.
I order their DoorDash every Friday. So good.
I tried to go to your pizza shop last week. I had just had like a multi-course dinner at Empress by Boone for work, but I was like, but I must have his pizza. But you were closed. And then Freesia texted me right after I got in my car, and she was like, hey, do you want to do this? Chef Eric Ehler's gonna be here. And I was like, it was.
I wasn't kidding when I said we were
Wheeled
super fans.
into distance. Anyway.
This is a weird way to end, but here we are. I'll just say this publicly, again, weird way to end, but like the crust at Outta Sight is the only crust that like, so our kids won't eat it, and normally if we're getting crust somewhere else, I'm like, meh, whatever, compost the crust. But when we get Outta Sight and they don't eat the crust, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you done with that? And I will eat it. And I'm like not a huge crust person, so it's.
They do eat more of the crust.
They do
from
eat more
out
of the
sight.
crust.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll eat it all, and I'm like, no, but I was planning to eat that because it's so good.
Yeah, I put
So-
yours in my purse tonight.
Oh.
Can I also just say, sorry, one
No,
more
yeah.
thing. I want to
like
say,
where this is
I
gone.
think something that also really has stood out to me about Outta Sight is, like, seriously, like, it's a very, like, authentic, you can really feel true authenticity come through, like, in your branding, in the food, like, it's just good vibes and feels, like, very true to, like, what we want in this city, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm the worst at experiencing this kind of thing because it's just me and a bunch of friends trying to do what we're considering as an authentic experience by just doing what we've always done, which is like cook food, hang out, and not be assholes, I guess.
Yeah.
And hopefully stuff like this can influence other people to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're doing a good job.
Yay, thank you.
Also, when you do Asian flavors, excellent. There was a spam one day. It was great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a weird way to end things, but and it was going to happen. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for being here. We are going to hang out. We can ask questions. I think. Coca, yeah. Listen, find us online. We're worstqualitycrab.com, worstqualitycrab on Instagram, and if you want to email us because you don't talk to us tonight, worstqualitycrabpod@gmail.com. And also, if you thought this was fun and you might want to try it and maybe you're interested in being a guest, come find me. We want to hear all your stories. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
All right, let's hear it one more time for all these guests.